This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, here we go. We are ready to rock and roll with Mr. Tom Garfinkle, of course, the Vice Chairman, President, and CEO of the Miami Dolphins and Hard Rock Stadium. Always kind enough to join us. Mr. Garfinkle, good afternoon, sir. How are you doing?
Good afternoon. I'm doing great. How about yourself?
It's always good to have you on, man. We're hanging in there. We're trying to stay COVID-free. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those, Tom, that we all walk around paranoid because we have no idea if we have it, we don't have it, or we already had it. It's one of those things. I have no idea which one it is. Isn't it crazy that we have to walk around like that?
Unprecedented times, my friend. Unprecedented times.
And I got
definitely different time.
And I got to commend you guys. I believe you're the only NFL stadium that is assisting in this COVID pandemic, as you guys have been a testing site for folks.
Well, I don't know if we're the only one. I know here in South Florida, the governor took the initiative, and the National Guard's involved, and we've had a testing site now there for several weeks, and we're happy they're able to use the facility, and we're able to help any way we can.
You guys, as always, Tom, you are way ahead of the curve, and you are just the best at what you do. First of all, Tom, when you got the news yesterday, walk us through your experience at that moment.
Oh, well, I think the first reaction is just a very personal one. A coach who's a friend. I had the great opportunity and honor of getting to know him, and I met him. He was 83 years old when I met him, so I've known him about 7 years. I got to know the man. I never really knew the coach, and he was just a wonderful guy, just a wonderful person, great father, husband, friend, wonderful to be around. So really just thinking about Mary Ann and the family and missing my friend. And then you kind of go into, okay, what do I need to do mode, and who do I need to talk to, and how do I need to handle this? And how do we make sure we can protect the family and the message gets out right in the right way and all those kinds of things. So, you kind of quickly get into that, but really it was just about, friendship and being sad and thinking about all the people that I know that, the Bob Greaseys and Jimmy Cefalos and Dan Marinos and, the people, Kim Bocamper and Joe Rose and Larry Zonka and all the people that have been telling me stories about Coach Shula for so many years and all the wonderful things they shared. And so, you feel for those people, and Mary Ann, who was just one of the most wonderful ladies I've ever met. So it was a tough day yesterday.
I can imagine. And how his impact on all of us that have been, lifelong Dolphin fans, and how it is in the last 24 hours. What has amazed you about everybody's reaction?
It's I guess it's a reaction you would expect. I mean, he was just a special guy. He impacted so many people. He if you had to pick a handful of people that helped put Miami on the map and build South Florida into what it is today, and really establish, really an icon and a legend of not just the game of football, the NFL, really, Florida and really the country in a lot of ways. I mean, he's certainly one of those people. So I think, the outpouring of love and support and to the family and his friends and all the people that cared about him and how many people's lives he impacted is not surprising, but I know appreciated by so many people.
And Tom, you do such an amazing job of planning for this stadium and events and things like that. And, I had the pleasure when I was at QAM to call Dan Marino's celebration from the booth, and Mandich did the pregame. I did the whole ceremony from the box, and we did it right for Dan Marino and celebrating his career and the retirement of his number and all of that. And so how are we going to handle the Shula one with COVID-19 going on, and we're not going to be able to put a full stadium together yet? We may not be able to do it till 2021. So are you thinking of possibly doing it in parts where we do something this year and then maybe next year when we can get, 70,000 people in that place and pack it in and celebrate Shula's Day? How are you looking at this? How are you viewing this? Because this COVID thing is getting in the way of a lot of things.
Well, look, again, I think I found out about 30 hours ago. So, I think, we'll take it one step at a time. You can bank on the fact that we'll do a wonderful celebration of Coach Shula's life at some point in the future. When that is, we'll talk to Marianne and talk to the family about what they want and how they want it to go down, and share in the planning of that with them, and make sure we represent his legacy and honor him the right way. And I know there's so many fans and so many people that want to come and honor Coach Shula in the right way. And so, my inclination would be to wait until we can do it in the right way with everybody there. And if we have to wait a while to do that, we'll probably wait. But, we'll see. I mean, I don't think there's any decisions made on that yet. And, we're just kind of taking it one step at a time right now, trying to focus on the family and what their needs are.
Oh, there's no doubt. Obviously, the family first, but and I know you just nailed it when you said so many people are going to want to be a part of this. We all know the funeral will probably be more of a private, deal. But if it was public, man, Tom, can you imagine the people that would be coming from maybe all over the world to come pay their respects? That's the kind of person that we lost yesterday, the kind of person that would probably draw people from all over the world if you would actually open up the funeral itself, right? I mean, I know we can. I know it's not going to happen. I'm just saying that's how this guy touched so many people.
Yeah, he did. This is a person that exemplified excellence and greatness in everything he did.
Yeah, no,
amazed by getting to know him, his sense of humor, and his just the way he treated people. He made you feel important no matter who you were when you were with him.
I'm with you there. Tom Garfinkle, of course, and don't forget you could follow him on Twitter at Tom Garfinkle, the vice chairman, president, and CEO of the Miami Dolphins and Hard Rock Stadium. Tom, when you're preparing now for this season, I read where you guys. Well, it's not a plan that's in place, but it looks like you've got some kind of an idea of maybe the way you're going to approach the new way you may have to do things this year with fans, if you have fans in the stadium.
Well, we're looking at all different kinds of scenarios. We want to be prepared for whatever the eventual outcome is. And I think, look, I'm proud of the NFL. I applaud the commissioner's leadership and the way we've approached the free agency and the draft and the schedule release here in a couple of days. And, the approach to be deliberate and measured and protect those most at risk and make sure everyone can be safe is the right one. At the same time, we've got a lot of unemployed people in this country and a lot of things happening. We need to come together as a country and have empathy for people that are suffering and really work to gradually and safely get people back to work and do things. So we're trying to look at it as, right now, I think there's an approach that we're to start the season on time and have fans. And we're optimistic about that. But we want to have all kinds of scenarios, whether that's no fans or whether, we wanted to provide a scenario that said, here's, if we had a reduced capacity situation and a socially distant stadium, what would it look like? And let's dig into every detail and every aspect of that and provide that as an option so that as we get to that point, we look at the governor and other government officials and certainly the NFL and defer to them on making sure the first priority is making sure everybody can be safe and healthy. So we just want to provide an option there. And that's really, so we're looking at all different kinds of scenarios, but we're optimistic moving forward.
Tom, the NBA has kind of said they want to get to the point where there's mass testing. Is that something because, man, for you guys, Tom, it's so much harder. You have so many more players than basketball does and even baseball. So it's a lot harder for you guys to balance this whole thing because it takes way more people to put on a football game and travel and everything else. What are the hurdles that you think you guys health-wise need to overcome in order to put the sport back on the field?
Well, I mean, they're kind of commonsensical. I mean, there's no secret sauce to this. I mean, you're trying to keep everybody safe. You're trying to keep everybody healthy. And right now, the scientists and everybody I've talked to, all the healthcare professionals, the only way to ensure that is through social distancing right now. So, and if you test somebody and you know that they don't have it, and then they can be around other people that have been tested that don't have it, as long as they don't go outside that. So, that's what we know. And I'm optimistic when the entire global scientific community is working on something collaboratively that they're going to make unprecedented timelines to make progress, whether that's a treatment or a vaccine or whatever the case may be. But in the meantime, we've got to work to keep everybody safe. And I think there's a way to do that and have people get back to work and do certain things. And if you look at the game of football, it's not just about the game. They've got to practice all week. And,
right.
There's a lot, it takes a lot of people to put on a game. There's camera people and referees and equipment people and all kinds of things. So, we're working through all those issues. I trust the leadership of the league. They do a fantastic job. They're doing their own scenario planning. They're working with a lot of, experts and trying to come up with ways to ensure that, we can play, but and most importantly, do it in a way that's keeps everybody's health and safety in mind.
So, Tom, when we lost Shula yesterday, one of the things that a little regret that I had on me was I wanted him to hang on a little bit more because I think you guys figured it out finally with Greer and Flores. And I think you're headed in the right direction now. And I really would have liked to have seen Shula watch you guys have the success that I believe you guys are going to have over the next couple of years building this thing up. Is there a part of you that thought about that?
Well, look, I think, when we hired Brian, I don't know how soon it was after he got here. I took him over to Coach Shula's house and introduced them, and they got to spend some time together and meet. And I know after that, they spent more time talking. And I think there's some kindred spirits there. I think, you're talking about, not to compare anybody to Coach Shula in any way. That would be unfair to Coach Shula and to Brian. But, there's some similar values there in terms of how they look at the game of football, their love for the game of football, their competitiveness, the toughness, the discipline. So they had a lot to talk about, and it was fun being a fly on the wall for that. And, I believe a lot in Brian. I think he's a great coach. I believe in Chris. And I think, taking a step back and trying to say, okay, how do we build this the right way? And I think when you have, 14 draft picks that we went into the draft with, and you have, the room that we had to sign some guys in free agency and try to build this the right way, we got a long way to go. But I think we're on the right path, and I'm optimistic and very optimistic about where we're headed and what we're doing to build a team. The goal is to build something that could be sustainable for the long term, for the future, that we can go compete for championships and honor Coach Shula and the tradition he built and all the players that played for him and the people that came before us. So that's always been the goal.
And Tom, you don't have to be a football expert, but, listen, I've been critical of the franchise over the years of the lack of direction at times, the lack of planning. And you don't have to be a genius to see the way they're doing things. That makes a lot of sense, from the teardown last year to they knew that it wasn't a great, pass rush draft, so they took care of it in free agency. And you figured that the draft is going to have an offensive feel to it. And sure enough, there's a lot of rhyme and reason to what they're doing, whereas for many years we were wondering what was the plan, and it almost was like a Band-Aid to try to fix a problem that's there. They kind of cleared everything out so they can start fresh. And to me, it's just everything that they've done just is logical. And I think even the average fan can see what the plan is, and it looks like there's a lot of common sense behind it. And I think that's why people are feeling good about it.
Yeah, that's good. I'm happy. I feel good about it. I'm happy people are feeling good about it. Again, I think Brian's he's a consummate competitor and leader and coach. I think, Chris is a very experienced personnel guy who doesn't have an ego, who's collaborative. I think, you talk about building a team, on the offensive line and on the line of scrimmage. It starts there. You talk about, getting guys that are character, guys that have leadership, that love the game of football. You've heard Brian talk about it. We want guys that love the game of football, that are team first, that compete, that are mentally and physically tough. These are the types of players that we want to bring in here. And I think, Brian and Chris were deliberate about doing that. And I think that's going to be, you're going to have an identity for this team, moving forward. I believe, that's going to be a reflection of the coach and of Chris, and hopefully that translates into great performance on the field. And I believe in what they're doing, and I believe that there's a deliberate plan about how we're going about this to try to build something sustainable for the long term. So I'm excited about it, and but there's a lot of work to do.
Tom, you usually are playing chess when everybody's playing checkers, because you, just like the plan you had for COVID-19, if it's down to 15,000 fans, you already have a plan in place because you're that guy. So I'm wondering that you have done such a freaking phenomenal job of making the experience at the stadium so much easier to drive in, drive out, walk in, walk out, experience inside. The amenities have grown from the roof and the clubs and everything else that you've done, which has been just awesome. So now you've got a little bit of a challenge now, because if you do go through a season where you don't have fans in the stadium, Tom, how are you making the experience on TV? Because now all your fans are going to be on TV, on .com, those kind of things. So what are you doing to try to elevate that experience if that's going to be your main draw from here on out? Are there any ideas in the work? Talk about those challenges for you, because, man, you killed it at the stadium, and this year we may not be able to enjoy that beautiful stadium. So how are you trying to improve Dolphin experience by viewership?
Well, we're trying to stay engaged, with fans. I think that's one way. We send everybody, all our season ticket members anyway, a special package to stay engaged with them. I don't know if you saw, what we did with the draft. We had a virtual draft party on the Facebook group, and, we became the #1 group in U.S. sports on Facebook in terms of size. We became the #5 group in Facebook group size in global sports. And so, and we had a lot of, we led in engagements for the draft on Facebook, and our growth rates there. And so we're going to use social media. We're going to try to provide more information. We're going to try to engage with our fans, and not in a hopefully, disruptive or interruptive or annoying way, but in a way that provides value to them and in a way they want to be engaged, that they opt into, and just try to provide them with more information, more connectivity, more engagement. So that doesn't just happen at the stadium, and it happens year round, and it happens through technology and in other ways. And if we can keep them connected with us and connected with each other, that's kind of the goal. So we want to help improve their experience in a way that's additive to them, not interruptive to them.
All right, one more thing I got to ask you, because I get it asked pretty much every day on the show, and I would like to see the change too. And I know we talked about it a couple years ago, and you told me that there's a certain amount of time you have to wait before you can make any of these kind of changes and file with the league. What is the latest with the logo? Is this going to be the logo moving forward, or is there some talk about going back to the old logo, or at least an old logo that kind of maybe with a little bit of a new twist that you guys may add to it, or like they did in the 90s and things like that? So tell us about the logo. Are there any plans to make any changes down the line?
Well, I think, look, when I got here, the new logo and uniforms were in place. I think, one of the first things I wanted to do was bring back the 66 throwbacks. I think, and we brought those back in 2015. There were so many iterations in between. And it's like, well, these are the classic uniforms, the very first logo, the very first uniforms. Let's bring this back. And, it certainly has received, fans love it. The players love it. I love it. But you know, the new uniforms are a modern look too that a lot of people like as well. And as of right now, you know, I can't speak to plans for the future. I can say that right now, the timing of today and where we are, these are our current uniforms. We love wearing the throwbacks. We'll continue to wear them and to honor the past. They're special. We try to save them for special games and use them in that way. And that's kind of where we're at on the uniforms. And so I listen to the fans. I hear the fans. I think we try to be very responsive to the fans. You know, this is a more complicated issue from the standpoint of the timing and all the different constituents that are involved with the league and the manufacturers and everything that goes into it. But we love wearing the throwbacks, and we will continue to see them.
How many years do you have to wait till you're able to make that move?
You know, I'm not at liberty to talk about the league rules or whether we will make the move or not. I think right now the uniforms are what they are, and we'll continue to wear the throwbacks, you know, to honor the past and those special games.
You feel it, right? You feel it from the fans that they want that change, right?
No question. I love them too. I love those uniforms too.
Yeah. All right. So
I brought them back.
I know. Yeah, that's why I'm saying this is why I admire you so damn much, because you're always playing chess when everybody's playing checkers. You're always ahead. We've seen what you've done since you took over. You've been a monster, man. What you've done with that stadium, I appreciate it, not just as a sports fan, hell, as a concert goer too. You've made that place even better for concerts. So, you know, nobody can argue with what you guys are doing. And one more thing, I'd like, can I suggest one thing? Just, you know, pass it on. Just one thing, can I suggest?
Of course.
Okay. You're building the new practice facility, correct? Correct? Yeah. Can we call it the Don Shula practice facility and then whatever sponsor brought to? Because Shula beat you in practice. His teams were always the smarter teams, the ones that are most prepared, the least penalized, kind of a lot like what Flores did last year, by the way. That was very Shula-esque with a whole bunch of young guys, and they were one of the least penalized teams. They rarely actually beat themselves. It was very Shula. I'm just saying the practice facility, maybe name it Don Shula practice facility, since that's the man that, you know, knew how to prepare players. And what better place to honor Shula than a practice facility? That's all I'm saying. Throwing it out there.
It's a great idea. We'll take it under consideration, you know, and I appreciate your nice comments. And, you know, we've got a great team of people at the Dolphins that work hard, and I'm proud of, you know, we just had an all-employee Zoom call here, 300 people on it before I got on this call. And I can tell you, you know, I'm just really proud of the organization, proud of the team, proud of our leadership team and the people that, you know, everybody works really hard, and there's just a lot of creative, smart people, great people that work together collaboratively, and the organization's in a really good place, and we've got a great owner, and there's a lot of things to be excited about for the future of the Dolphins.
Well, my brother, it takes leadership, man, and you definitely provide it, Tom, and I appreciate you being a stud, taking some time to talk to us and handling even a couple little difficult questions there at the end. I appreciate you. The fans thank you, and wish you the best, my man. Hang in there, stay COVID-free. And let's do it upright for Don Shula. He deserves it.
You too. Thank you very much.
You got it.
Stay safe.
Thank you, Tom. You got it. There you go. Tom Garfinkle, Vice Chairman, President, and CEO of the Miami Dolphins and Hard Rock Stadium.
We're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl, because we're the Miami Dolphins.
There we go. All right. He was great. He was great, as always. Appreciate him, and even handled all the tough questions there. The uniforms, he feels it. I mean, well, he even threw it. That's why I brought the old ones back, because I talked to him about this a couple years back. I'd have to go find the interview, and he told me that they needed to wait a certain amount of years to then file for it. And I think it's somewhere around 10 years. And then within the next 5 after that. So it's like a 10 to 15-year process or something. I forgot. He didn't want to get into it now because obviously it then becomes more of a story. But I think he senses it that some changes need to happen with that one. So there you go.